and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the JCast podcast. I'm your host, Jay.
And Jay.
And we have a pretty interesting show for you guys today. Talking about a couple of things that have been happening. Some of those things we might be a little late on. Other topics we might be on time for, I guess. So The first thing I want to talk about is that Donald Trump got indicted, and people are out here celebrating. And what are your thoughts on that? They indicted a former president. I think it's the first time ever in history.
Yeah, there should be some respect, man. Some respect on Trump's name.
And his boys. So, people, I don't understand where the dislike for Donald Trump comes from. You ask somebody why they don't like him, and they'll say stuff like,
he's racist.
He's racist, right? Even though he lived, what was it that he lived? He lived in some big city, New York City.
Yeah, he's from New York City.
He lived in New York City, and but he was in the public spotlight for decades.
Yeah,
decades, and
I think the minority community loved him too when he was on.
Yeah, exactly, and
Apprentice.
So all that stuff, and all of a sudden now they're saying that he's racist, when in reality he was like, it's just what the media said, and people might have said, well, he said those things about the Mexicans. He was talking about
criminals.
Yeah, exactly. He was talking about criminals that were coming through the border from Mexico.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw a video about him. It's a pretty old video about him where he's like doing some sort of speech, and he's surrounded by like Democrats and Republicans. He starts talking about how, the people around him used to be his friend and used to love his money when he wasn't the president.
Right.
And he's met the children of politicians and families, and he was really close. But now that he's the president, he kind of like directed to the point that, they're snakes because they never really liked him. Now that he's the president, well, when he was the president,
but that's what
they all turned their backs.
Most politicians are snakes. That's what Bernie Sanders is a snake.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders fell in line. You notice how Bernie Sanders was like kind of like the outsider a little bit from the Democratic Party. Like, we got to fight for free healthcare and free this and free that. And now he's not doing anything. Now he's like, oh, vote for Joe Biden because he's better than Trump, or he's not a fascist like Trump. Like,
yeah, he's just supporting now.
Yeah, I have to look up that word every so often because people use that word. They use the word white supremacist. They use the word racism so loosely for anything now.
Yeah.
Before that, those words used to mean something. Now those words mean if you disagree with the Democratic Party, you're a white supremacist. Or like if you point out things like men can't be women, now you're a white supremacist and racist. And it's like pretty soon talking about reality is going to make you a white supremacist.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing with Trump is like, guys, really think about it. Really, really, really think about it. Trump has been in office 4 years only. 4 years. And look at your life. I'm asking people, the 50 subscribers who listen, I'm asking you guys, really look at your lives, right? Look at your lives critically and ask yourself, is my life the way it is because of Donald Trump? Is the lives of the people around me the way they are because of Donald Trump? You know what I mean? And the answer is going to be no.
Yeah. I mean, right now, the country's not doing well.
Right. And even that, I can even say, like, the country's not doing well, and I'm not even going to blame Biden for that, if I'm being honest.
How about Biden's son, Hunter?
Oh, that guy. The whole thing. And then Sam Harris. Like, a lot of people who I respected, Sam Harris, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I could at least say, I don't like this guy's opinion, but it does seem like he thought about this deeply enough to come to this opinion. So it's not coming from some, but these people, man, they have Trump derangement syndrome. And Sam Harris went as far to be like, yeah, they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story on Twitter during the elections, which people can consider election meddling because that would have swayed people's opinions.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't care if Hunter Biden had the corpses of people in his basement if it meant that Donald Trump, and they suppressed it if it meant that Donald Trump was going to be president.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing here. So these people don't care. Here's the bottom line. These people don't care about right or wrong. They just care that the people that they align with win, period. That's it. They don't care about the class issues. They don't care about free healthcare. They don't care about nothing. Nothing at all, so long as the side that they're with is the right side.
The scary part is that the media has done a really good job of convincing the American people as well.
And you would think...
It's nuts.
And the problem... we spent decades, well, maybe not decades, but years talking about how the media is not to be trusted, how the media is fake, how the media is either embellishes stories and things like that. And people were totally like, yeah. But all of a sudden, it seems like people's, whatever little bit of logic that some of these people had was overridden by their emotions. And now they just say things that they seem to be programmed to say.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, I don't watch the news. I'm like, you don't watch the news, but how are you parroting the same talking points as the news?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
And I think that it's gone to the point where it's also influencers, man. So they're kind of noticing that CNN and all these other media companies they're kind of going out of business. So they're also
Good.
They're
I'm
aligned.
sorry, but good, man.
Yeah, but what they're doing is they're aligning with influencers as well. So there's like a division in influencers in politics and beliefs. Like there's the far right and the far left. I haven't seen that many influencers that are just in the middle with reason. There might be a few, but not that many.
Yeah. And there are a few, but you know, and just I feel like people don't understand. People don't really, past like a superficial level, people don't really get. It sounds like almost childish. They're like, well, we should have free healthcare, and we should have free college, and we should have free this and free that, and minimum wage should be $25 an hour. And it's like, that's nice, but can you explain to me how things are working right now? Honestly, explain it to me. Don't tell me, well, the greedy capitalists are. No. Explain to me why healthcare is so expensive right now.
Yeah.
And don't tell me this nonsense like, well, ever since they were allowed to privatize it, the cost went out of control. It's like, well, how is Medicare and Medicaid like 25% of the national budget? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Explain that. Explain why, how, all those things, and they don't do it. And so if you don't know how something works, the last thing you want to do is open the floodgates and make it quote unquote free. And that's another word I don't like. There's no such thing as free. They should call it for what it is. Taxpayer funded.
Yeah.
Healthcare, taxpayer funded. College, anything that's, unless somebody's providing you labor for free, that they're providing you directly.
Which is called slavery.
Which is called, you force them for it, right? But if they consent to providing you free labor, then it's free.
Yeah.
And technically it's not really free if you want to get into the time. It still cost him something.
Yeah.
But nobody can do that. And because instead of trying to get to the bottom of it and ask what's going on, what do they do instead? Oh no, Trump evil. We can't let Trump win. Trump bad. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's a straight up Indian guy, he's a white supremacist. Like, and you guys think you're all smart.
Yeah.
These guys have probably not ever worked a laborious job a day in their lives, and now they're gonna fix the issues with labor.
Yeah, did you, now that you mentioned minimum wage, did you hear about the UPS minimum wage that went up?
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that is that I don't think people understand that they could raise minimum wage to $100 an hour, but what they don't understand is they're going to pass off the cost to the consumer.
Right.
So
and
someone's paying for that, it's going to be the consumers. It's actually harming the consumer basically.
Well, what I'll tell you is this: I'm kind of glad the UPS won that fight for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, it showed what can be done when people unite for a cause.
Yeah.
And they actually did it, and they actually united, and they were actually able to get what they felt they deserved. Whether you think they deserved it or not is a different story, but they wanted something, they united, they felt like they can get what they deserve, and good for them, man. Good for them. And people who are celebrating it, just know you're gonna pay a little bit more. But if you're okay with paying a little bit more, then everybody win. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Right? The executives aren't going to be starving at UPS.
No, for sure. I mean, they're going to probably make more money now.
Probably. People are going to probably buy more of their stuff.
Yeah.
$150, $170 for deliveries. Good for them, man. Hey, look, no, good for them, bro. If you can do that without government involvement, I'm always for that. What a private business decides to do and how
they have a union, right? It was a union.
Yeah, there was a union. And what a business decides to do as a result of a union or not, without government involvement, whether you agree with it or not, I'm perfectly happy with that. That's the private enterprise handling their own business without government involvement to the point where everybody's happy, or the right people are happy at least, right?
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with that. I know PBD was pretty upset about that.
Yeah. Because he's a business owner, so if it ends up trickling down to other people joining in saying, hey, you know what, it worked for UPS, why don't we do that?
That's how it's technically supposed to be.
Yeah, but but it's going to affect overall the business owner, because now he has to pay more, And if he passes it on to the consumer, and what ends up happening is if all the other companies start, hiring a minimum wage, it's going to come to a point where it's going to harm business owner, and then he's going to
I'm
might
okay
go out of
with
business.
I'm okay with all that as long as it's not government mandated. You know what I mean? Because at least businesses can still have a way to like negotiate and still kind of negotiate or change like the minimum the payments that they're paying the workers. Like they can renegotiate.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, like whatever your thoughts are, I just don't want government involvement with how
Yeah.
people get paid. And if people can handle it through unions and they get what they want, I am perfectly fine with that, dude. I am what now whether they deserve that much money or not, at the end of the day is this. They negotiated and they got what they wanted. Do we deserve how much we're getting paid with this YouTube money? You know, we negotiated and you get what you want. So, yeah, congratulations to the UPS workers, honestly, for negotiating that. And I hope people do that instead of trying to vote charlatans in that say they're gonna do that and they didn't. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look how much more effective that union was instead of politicians. What does that tell you? How long would it have taken those guys to get 170, right? Or 150, or 155, whatever, if they did it through voting people in, waiting for legislation to get written up, waiting for legislation to hit the House, right, to hit Congress, waiting for legislation to go to the Senate, waiting for legislation to kick it back down to Congress because they wanted to add a provision, waiting for this people to kick it back to the Senate, waiting for it to go back to the executive branch, waiting for the president to sign. How we're still trying to have people legalize weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At the federal level, yeah.
So I hope this shows people that government is not really that useful. If you guys
To regulate, I think so, yeah.
to do anything,
You don't think so? At least regulations overall to protect?
government is the most useful when they're being referees. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, put an air conditioner in the warehouse, and they're not even doing that right. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
So good job for UPS. I hope if people feel like they're not getting paid more, I hope that they do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want less government involvement and more. And look, some people don't vote, but they made the union and they made it work and they got what they wanted based off the union. You know what I mean? Like they were involved. People were involved in what was going on and they made something happen as a result.
Yeah.
I know you're not a big fan of it.
Nah, man. I'm just looking at it as
From a business standpoint,
from a business standpoint, it's like.
But if you make, let's say, $20 million and now you're making $15 million after everything's said and done, are you really?
No, in this case, they're gonna be making way more than that. But it's gonna come down to the consumer, and I don't know if it's gonna be like affordable to certain people. You know what I mean?
Shipping and handling.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know how much it would change, but
I don't know. I think they'll be fine.
maybe for UPS it's all right. But if it happens for other places, like it might.
They'll be fine, bro. They'll be fine. Worst case scenario, they have to, they got to adapt now to the new, and they'll be able to adapt. You know what I mean? They'll be able to adapt. How is it possible that Arizona iced tea for a long time was being able to sell their iced tea for $1 for years?
Yo, is it still $1?
No.
Wow, it went up.
Yeah, it's like $1.15.
Since when?
For years, like
really?
Yeah.
I always gotten for 99 cents. I think last time I got one was like 3 years ago. Maybe has it changed?
Yeah, and it's like they were like, oh, we'll just drive at night, less traffic, like the people they innovate, they find ways to do things.
So now it's won something.
Yeah, last time I checked, yeah.
Damn.
So they find ways
scoundrels.
they find ways to do something. You know what I mean? So good for them. Yeah, that's my issue with Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske and those guys. They don't really like free healthcare. Again, I want to go back to that. Like, I want to ask Kyle Kalinske, Kyle, do you think there should be such thing as taxpayer funded healthcare from one day to the next without reforming anything, without finding out why this costs what it costs? Number one. Number two, you think we should have taxpayer funded healthcare when people don't really exercise the way they do, and if people keep eating the way they do, and if people keep having certain lifestyles?
Wasn't I forgot what's the position in DC that said that it's because genetics that people are obese? Who said that?
Yeah, of course, and that's what's gonna happen. some doctor, bro, like a nutritionist doctor. And like,
no, but I thought the doctor was part of some sort of position in
yeah,
DC.
yeah, whatever that woman's name is.
Yeah. So if you have people like that in power that are in charge of the health something, you know.
Right. Co-signing bad behavior. Where it's like, oh, it's not diet, it's genetics. Like, wow, that's crazy.
That's insane.
Places where people don't have enough food, they have better genetics because they're not, you know, they don't gain weight. Like, duh, like these are the leaders.
Yeah,
these are the leaders, bro.
I think that needs to change first before, you know, there's a reform.
I think people should stop listening to them. I think people should listen to people who, you see some guy at the gym, you see him working out or her working out, and you see that they look good. That's who you want to ask for advice. Not somebody in DC who's going to change the definition of what a diet is or how come people. You don't want to ask those people anymore. Clearly, they don't. Either they don't know what they're talking about, or they do know what they're talking about, but they got paid enough money to say something else.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. They're just fooling people.
Yeah, you know. Speaking of talking about stuff. You heard about that lady who got hit with a brick?
Yo, tell me more. Who got smacked by a brick, man?
So, the original story was some lady, okay, supposedly had a gentleman ask her for her number.
Wait, where did this happen?
I don't know. I just know she got hit with a brick.
Okay.
She got hit with building materials. And so, some gentleman asked her for her phone number. And
some gentleman?
A gentleman. Because it was a gentleman before things went left.
Okay.
So this gentleman, this scholar, if you will, asked her for her number. When she refused to give him her number, allegedly, he grabbed the brick and smacked her with it. And she really got rocked, bro.
She lost a tooth or so? Or?
No, she got hit like in the side of the face. So it was like swollen. Like, you ever know how you try to draw a circle?
Yeah.
And it doesn't come out right? Yeah, dude. It looked really rough.
Okay.
It looked oblonged.
Yeah.
And so, dude smacked her with a brick, and she said, paraphrasing here, that she got smacked with a brick in front of a whole bunch of men, and the men did nothing. They just sat there and watched as she got smacked with a brick. That was the original story. Of course, nobody learns their lesson of, hey, let's wait for more details to come out before we start giving our opinions on it. Yeah. Well, surprise, surprise, some more opinions came out. Well, before that...
any witnesses or anything?
Yeah, a bunch of witnesses.
Okay.
But a lot of these YouTube channels came out of nowhere like, oh, this is how men act. This is how men behave. You know, men feel entitled to women's phone numbers and blah, and blah, and blah, and blah, and blah. And, you know, when I first read that story, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. He got smacked with a brick for not giving his number. That's messed up, man. That's nuts. Apparently, according to other witnesses, what really happened was that it wasn't enough that she said no to this guy, right? Apparently, she kept harassing this man and insulting him and talking trash to him to the point where he got mad and smacked her with a brick. Now, am I condoning physical behavior for using your words? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I didn't condone it when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock for using words.
Yo, that's insane.
I'm not going to condone it. I am not going to condone it for this guy smacking this lady with a brick. Here's the difference, though. Chris Rock is a comedian, okay? He's a comedian. His job is to tell jokes.
Yeah.
And your job is to laugh or not laugh, and that's it. This lady was not a comedian. This lady harassed this man, and so he got mad and smacked her with a brick. I don't condone that behavior. But apparently she has videos of her going around doing quote-unquote pranks on people and smacking them.
Wow. Sounds like karma got her.
And just being overall obnoxious.
Yeah.
Well, now, and I guess she thought she was untouchable. Right? She found what do they tell us when they're young? Hey, knock it off, because one day you're going to come across somebody who's going to come across as unhinged, and you're going to find out real quick how to behave.
They say F around and you'll find out, right?
There we go. That's exactly it. She
F'd around and she found out.
Most men don't talk trash to each other because that's what happens.
There's consequences. There's unspoken consequences.
There are physical consequences.
Yes.
And there's an underlying threat of violence. Okay? If I bump into a guy, I'm not going to be like, watch where you going, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be like, oh, excuse me, sir. I didn't see you there. I'm sorry. Please, after you.
Yeah.
There's violence there. There's physical violence. There's, you know, she, for some reason, was able to act as she wanted, disrespectful and almost physically invasive to other people for so long that she forgot that there were consequences. And this guy reminded her of those consequences.
Damn.
As wrong as he might have been for smacking her with a brick, right? He reminded her, hey, that right there. And then they were out. So a guy came, and then on top of that, the other part of this is for her to get on the phone and say, or get on live or TikTok or whatever, and say that men saw this and didn't defend her. Ma'am, if I would have been there and I would have seen that play out the way it seemed like it actually played out, I would not have said anything either. There's no way I'm gonna watch you, who's not even my wife, run your mouth, okay? Be obnoxious, and then to the wrong person, get hit with a brick, and I'm gonna just rip my shirt open and say, excuse me there, ma'am. Excuse me there, sir. Don't touch my queen.
Yeah.
No. At best, I'll call the police officers. At best. I'm not jumping in for no woman who seemed like she was asking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For some consequences.
Yep.
So, you know, she seemed like she's okay. She was talking. She was making a live. But, and all you other YouTube channels who made videos defending this woman or making it seem somehow like it was men's, with an S, fault in general, instead of, number one, the guy who actually did it, and number two, the woman who actually provoked this type of response. Yeah, people need to get out of your feelings, because your bias shows so much, right? If a woman smacked a guy with a brick, right, who harassed her, who smacked her, who said something wrong, I wouldn't be defending that. I wouldn't be like, where were the other women defending this man? I would have been like, did he ask for it? Oh, okay, hey, it was messed up that she smacked him with a brick. However, leave people alone.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big proponent of, if you don't start nothing, there won't be anything. And if you do start something with somebody who doesn't want to get involved, no matter how disproportionate their response is, I don't feel no type of way, because you had it coming.
Yep.
You know, it's like people who say, oh, if somebody steals your package from your porch, do people have the right to let off shots at them? I'm like, well, look, I don't think people should get let up, right, filled with lead for stealing packages, right? However, don't touch people's packages.
Yeah.
And somebody said it, Frank Mir, he's a former UFC fighter, he had a good response. People were like, oh, you value your packages over somebody else's life? His response was, no, he valued my package over his life. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
basically, you just gotta watch out. Like, you gotta watch out what you do.
Be respectful, man. Be respectful. Don't, and honestly, no matter there are nut jobs out there who, even if you're respectful, they're gonna start something with you, and we sympathize with that. But be respectful. Don't start stuff with people. Don't think you're untouchable. There's people who just do not care. They do not care, and they're one word away from smacking you with a brick. You know, and people, and these channels, man, they gotta do a better job trying to be less biased and more fair towards this whole gender dynamic thing. Because if they want to act like this, if they want to act like they're for equality, then they gotta start getting the whole story, holding both sides accountable. They're not gonna do that, but that's what they should do, and stop celebrating and kind of smirking whenever these articles come out that say men are underperforming in these areas, women are far exceeding men in those areas, and men are dropping out of the workforce. They need to stop saying that, almost like if they're celebrating it, because at the end of the day, unless you're planning on going lesbians, all of you, right? Unless you're planning on going lesbians, this is gonna affect you by the time you want to settle down with a guy, if you want to settle down with a guy, because obviously you want a guy who's doing well too.
Yeah.
Right? So equality means equal, not we're doing better than you, therefore that's it, we don't have to pursue equality anymore. Equality means constantly calibrating the scale, right? So if it tips in one, you calibrate it so it can go back to the balance. If it tips the other, you calibrate it so it goes back and being balanced. But that was nuts. And there's like a whole movement of called child-free women. Have you heard about that?
No. I think I have an idea though.
There's women who are happy that they don't have kids, and you know what? I'm not knocking them. I think a lot of people growing up felt the weight of parenthood because their parents were just so unprepared to be parents.
Yeah.
So those kids felt the weight so heavily that they're like, there's no way I'm gonna have kids. And then by the time they grow up, they're like, they're doing well in life, they're happy, they're free. They're like, why would I want to have a kid and kind of reshackle myself to a life that I felt like I escaped?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can see that standpoint.
Yeah, from what I've seen a lot of females that they kind of have trauma growing up, and they kind of see either their mom getting mistreated or something, and they come from like an unhappy childhood, and so they don't want the same thing. So what they end up doing is they just stay alone, I guess, or
yeah, they're like, you know what, I don't want no kids, and 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 honestly, who could I'm not really, you can't really blame them. For example, you'll say, what do you think about women who say they don't want kids, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Women that say they don't want to have kids,
right?
I think it's their choice, but I think that if they have good values within them, they should have kids. Again, in a way, it's kind of being selfish, because if you like allow other people that are not ready and that have no values to bring children into this world, what ends up happening is that you end up, the person that doesn't have a kid, end up paying for that kid anyway. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Through tax paying money. So you rather as well just have your own kid and raise him with your values, and pass on your legacy and stuff. Because regardless, you're gonna have to pay for someone's kid.
So right, and here's the thing about that: we tell people, if you cannot afford a car, don't buy it.
Yeah.
If you're not able to afford a house, don't buy it. If you're not able to afford this, don't buy it. We have to come to terms that we to be intellectually consistent, if you're not able to afford a kid, don't have them.
The thing is now that the generation of people that could afford kids are not having kids, and the ones that can't afford a kid are having kids. That's the problem.
They don't want to lower their lifestyle, and you can't really blame them, especially if they feel like they worked hard to reach a lifestyle. Like, oh, I finally got a lifestyle that's a peace of mind and stuff like that. I don't want to have kids.
Also, I think it goes back to the media, right? A lot of these influencers, or just the media itself, they display this lifestyle of just being single, having nice cars. All these celebrities they're I guess they consider influencers as well, like the Kardashians. Even though they do have their own kids, they don't show the part of raising the kid, right, and being a mother. What they show is partying.
That's because they outsource the difficult parts of raising a kid.
Exactly.
Oh, get a nanny, get a this, get a that, get a chef, get this. And I don't think it's fair. I wish more people who had kids and stable families would come out and at least be honest. And at least be honest with the difficult parts, but also be honest about the rewarding parts as well. And I believe that there's not a community for parents. There's not a parental community.
Yeah, there is.
You know what I mean?
It should be more magnified.
Yeah, there should be. People say they want society to be a better place, right? And one of the ways we make society a better place is by having kids, giving them the right values, and then putting them out to society, because now they become a part of society, right? A strong part of society, and you have enough of those kids, and society gets stronger that way.
Yeah, so I think there needs to be an effort in the current parents that do have kids to somehow, I don't know, display their lifestyle. But the thing is, like, a lot of them don't want to, and
they gotta be more. Look, I'm not blaming women and guys who don't want kids for very valid reasons, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think some of the daycare is expensive. They barely take care of themselves, or they're doing well right now, but if they had a kid, it would completely
change. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just so all these things, but I don't think that's something that we should be celebrating. I don't think that's something that we should be high-fiving people for. Oh, you don't have kids? High five for you.
Yeah.
I think that even though your reasons are valid, and even though you're absolutely right, and that is, in most cases, that is a responsible choice to not have kids, especially if you cannot take care of them. I think that should be like a red flag of issues that we gotta address. And obviously, of course, if society is concerned about people not having kids for valid reasons, society needs to address those valid reasons, and they're not addressing it in a way that people believe, is going to help them out. But we shouldn't be high-fiving them. Hey, we should respect their choices. We shouldn't insult them. We shouldn't call them names, but we shouldn't be high-fiving them, and we shouldn't be like yas queening them all over the place.
Yeah, I think whatever you encourage other people to do, it becomes the norm, right? So like the norm right now is just don't have kids, enjoy your life, right? Enjoy your 30s and 40s and stuff.
Right.
But the thing is, like, when it comes to bearing children, there is a limit. There's a time limit for a woman to have children, and they don't talk about that.
They talk about that, but there's some
They talk about freezing eggs.
There's some denial there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that a 19-year-old or that a 40-year-old has just as much of a high chance of having a baby and a healthy baby at that as a 19-year-old.
People say
Let's
yes.
be honest, man. Let's be honest. And that's another thing. Nobody wants to be honest. Everybody wants to win an argument.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to win a debate. Like, hey, look, if we're talking about societal issues, let's come to the table with some actual solutions. Let's not come trying to beat each other. Let's come listen to each other's points of view and see if we can come to a conclusion. That's not gonna happen. But
But it could happen because it didn't used to be like that.
Yeah, I feel like this came about naturally. But nobody had to debate and nobody had to come to the table for things to turn out this way. But now we gotta come to the table to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think child-free women, I hope that you guys do find good men and that you guys do have a family and that you raise the family and kids to be like upstanding members of society and that they make society better because the values you instilled on them, they carry with them and they carry it into society and they strengthen society that way.
Yeah.
I really hope that because for the most part, if you're not ready to have a kid and you have a kid, that does more damage to society sometimes than if you don't have kids at all.
Yeah.
And
there's also been a big influx of antidepressants as well.
So that's another thing too, right? Women say they don't have kids, or women are supposedly reporting higher levels of happiness, supposedly. But also women are on higher levels of depression. Like there's more women on antidepressants now. More women are reporting using antidepressants. So somebody's lying.
Yeah.
Somebody's lying. These two things don't make any sense.
Yeah, or maybe they utilize antidepressants to make themselves feel happy.
Bro, if you're on antidepressants, by definition.
Yeah, you're not happy. But remember, reality is not. So if they're on antidepressants, it's after using that drug, they feel happy. So in a way, they think they're happy. It's not reality, but
I guess it depends on what day you cash them to.
I guess.
But yeah, man. So the whole thing, they're more not. And when I say they, I mean people. I'm not. This is not specifically for women, but
I mean nowadays people are they
illicit substances.
Yeah.
Oh, I just called that alcohol abuse, video game abuse, prawn addictions, hookup culture, all that stuff. I think it's like just a syndrome of like actual societal issues, and nobody's gonna address them. Nobody's gonna address them. We're too busy fighting each other. Everybody's too busy trying to get clips.
Is there any other countries that are not doing this?
Well, countries, and I got to check, but countries that do have what you can consider are more egalitarian, meaning that they actually made men and women equal in terms of like everything else.
So they have like their gender roles and stuff.
Yeah, they do not have a population issue. It seems like, and one of the reasons is because there's a lot more. For example, maternity leave. There's they get help from having kids. Some places even pay you to have kids. Not pay you in government assistance, but hey, you had a kid. Here's $2,000 or whatever. There's a safety nets are much more sturdier over there, but also their value systems are different than us. You know what I'm saying? They don't celebrate single parenthood. You understand what I'm saying? They don't celebrate doing shenanigans that leave a kid without a father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't celebrate degenerate culture. They don't celebrate that. You know what I mean? They celebrate go to school, do this, but they also make it so that men and little boys and little girls can both major in whatever they want, and they help both equally, not one over the other, equally. And so when you want to start a family, they have services that facilitate that, and they don't have outrageous childcare costs. So those cultures seem to be doing much better compared to our culture and compared to South Korea and compared to Japan. It's so clear. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you think they have high rates of abortion?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's high rates, but they're more lenient, I guess. I think to abortion. Some of these Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, yeah.
But it kind of makes sense when you think about it because they have more women involved in politics, I think, and so they're able to drive more policies, and so they're able to kind of like pass things in favor of
Interesting.
women in a way. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that whether you agree with it or not, you got to admit that that is kind of working. You know, they're not having a population issue where people are not having kids. And on top of that, you know, the whole healthcare thing where you don't break the bank or whatever if you get sick or whatever.
Yeah.
So but at the same time, I don't know if people are abusing that safety net. It doesn't seem like they are. Do you think if we do that here with everything that's going on, people would abuse it? I think they would.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, definitely.
You know? And the argument of people saying, well, if one person doesn't go hungry, I don't care if 20 people abuse it. It's like you should care because that's your money that's being misappropriated. That could be used to feed other hungry people, sir. You know what I mean? Or ma'am, whoever said that. But
and when you said ma'am, I was thinking about that
it's
video.
ma'am.
Yeah, that video. It's ma'am.
Talk about 2 + 2 = 5, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's it. I don't really have much else to say. Anything from
No,
you?
I have nothing to say. Just let's see what else unfolds, man. It seems like there's so many issues around the world that's going on. Did you hear about the G20 conference coming up with the Prime Minister of India? I think China's going to be there. Obviously, Biden's going to be there.
I think I saw that. I don't know if it came up already.
No, it hasn't happened yet, but they're supposedly, actually, I don't think China's going to be part of that.
Yeah, China's not going to be part of it.
But part of
not gonna be part of it.
But they're going to be part of the discussion, I think, because they're saying that China is becoming a big superpower. And there's other people that are saying that no, because they're the population, and they're having issues with that.
It seems like India is going to be the actual superpower.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think India is going to be the next
But
superpower. A lot of tech companies are investing, man, heavily, man.
Yeah.
To India. So let's see what unfolds, man. India's in a good position right now because.
But the class, the wealth disparity there is.
Oh yeah.
Brutal. From
Yes, definitely, yeah. There's the rich and the poor, and that's it.
It's very clear.
Yeah, it's very clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But all right, guys. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.